I note the time, so we might make a start. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bayside Local Planning Panel for the 22nd of July 2025. This panel has been appointed by the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces and the Council under the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act to hear and determine development applications, modification applications, and to consider and provide recommendations to the Council in relation to planning proposals. My name is Paul Vagonis and I'll be the chairperson for this evening's meeting. And with me today, I've got Mr. Scott Barwick, who's one of our expert members, Mr. David Epstein, who is also an expert member, and Ms. Katrina Blando is our community representative. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Council's YouTube page. The recording is an official record of the Council and may be made available to persons upon request in accordance with the Freedom of Information legislation, which can be made by an application under the Government Information Public Access Act 2009. The details of this can be found on the Council's website. At today's panel meeting, we will hear and consider a development application for a place of public worship at 57 to 61 President Avenue, Kogarah. Declaration of interest forms have been completed by all panel members and there are no declared conflicts of interest in relation to the development application. The order in which the matter will proceed is, of course, the only development application we have, which is for the place of public worship at 57 to 61 President Avenue, Kogarah. Any registered submitters who wish to address the panel will be invited to come forward to the lectern and state their name and their reason for addressing the panel. Please speak clearly and concisely when addressing the panel. Submitters will be given 3 minutes to make their submissions. However, as the chair, I have the discretion to allow extra time to allow the submitters to finalise any of their submissions. Once all submitters have finished their submissions, I'll ask that they remain at the lectern to allow any panel members to ask any questions. When addressing the panel, submitters are reminded that any racial, derogatory or defamatory language or remarks will not be tolerated for which this panel nor the Council will be made responsible for. Please note that any written submissions made to the Council about any of the matters on the agenda, which is this place of public worship, they've been provided to the panel members and they have been reviewed by the panel members. Once all submissions and questions have been finalised for a particular matter, in this case the only application we're dealing with today, the panel will move to the next item on the agenda. There isn't any, so this is the only matter that we'll be dealing with it. And at the conclusion of the agenda, I will close the meeting and the panel will retire to a closed session to deliberate and make the decision on this development application. So I'll now call for the first matter, which is DA 2024/249 for the place of public worship at 57 to 61 President Avenue, Kogarah. Now I note, and there have been a number of people that have registered. We have a written submission from Ms. Rosina Akram. We have a written submission by Ms. Winnie Huang and Mr. Gregor Lovett. We also have written submissions from Mrs. Shirley Wang and Mr. Dimitri Mentis. And we have a written submission from Mr. Robert Greenhill. I understand Mr. Greenhill and Mr. Mentis are in attendance. And to address the panel orally, we have Ms. Anne Field and Mr. Fari also in attendance to address the panel in person. Can I ask Ms. Field, would you like to come forward?
Right.
Floor's all yours, ma'am.
Right. My name is Anne Field. I live in Oakdale Avenue on the estate. The Moorfield estate has a particular charm and character. It's had this since it was built in the 1950s, late 1950s and 1960s, along with the schools, Moorfield Girls and James Cook Boys and the TAFE. The estate then consisted of single-storey dwellings. Today, some of those original houses have second-storey additions or have been replaced by new two-storey homes. One resident who's in her 80s and her husband who's in his early 90s have lived on the estate since it was built. Many residents, in fact, are long stayers. I myself have lived there 40 years. And this tells you that the residents clearly love their residential area. The design of this Coptic church does not fit the character of the estate. It will, in fact, destroy the character. It will bring many people who will use the estate as their car parking lot so that they can attend the services, the many services at the church. The building itself will be visible for some distance for motorists driving to or from Brighton New Sands on President Avenue, or vehicles entering or exiting the busy West Botany Street intersection with President Avenue, Cogra. It is a clash of architectural styles. It's a building that's certainly better suited to a large stand-alone block of land which provides adequate parking for its congregation, is softened by vegetation and does not back onto residential properties or is anywhere near residential homes. We as residents of the Moorfield Estate collectively object to the church, which is intrusive to our local environment. In fact, it is a large building designed currently to effectively fit onto a postage-size block of land adjacent to major roads, a most inappropriate location. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Field. Would you just
Any questions? Beg your pardon.
stay at the lectern?
Any questions? Yes.
I'll just ask the panel if they have any questions. David?
None from the Mr Chair.
I don't have any questions for you. You read the recommendation before us.
You've read the recommendation. He's asking you, I think, whether you've read the recommendation.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, I have. Yes,
All
yes.
right. Thank you.
Right.
The next speaker we have is Mr Fari. Please come forward, sir.
Mr Chair, panel members, my name is Fari. Thank you all for allowing me to speak on this matter. I'm here today as a concerned local resident to express my strong objection to the proposed church development at the Moorfield Avenue and President Avenue sites. My wife and our 2 children live not 4 houses down from this proposed development. Let me be clear, this is not about opposing religious use, but rather about the planning implications of placing a high-traffic, high-use facility within a low-density residential area that is clearly not suited for it. First, the proposal significantly impacts the freedom of movement for local residents. As Anne, fellow resident, alluded to earlier, she has been in this estate longer than I've been on this earth. That tells you people definitely are here to stay. And when my wife and I turned in to an open house inspection and we saw that house, old red brick, beautiful tree-lined streets, a park literally across the road, I said, we have to have it. This is definitely where we want to plant our roots for our children. Our street network is narrow, it's quiet, and it's not designed to accommodate large-scale gatherings multiple times, not per year, per week. And this will be a weekly occurrence. The anticipated volume of cars and pedestrian traffic will create congestion. It will limit safe access for residents. It will increase significantly the risk of injury to children like my own who play in that park and playground literally across the road to this development, and reduce walkability, particularly for seniors and people with mobility issues. Second, the proposed development will exacerbate traffic congestion. The surrounding roads, due in part to the changed road conditions from the ongoing and plagued M6 construction project already experienced delays during school pickups, weekends and peak commuter periods. We have literally become prisoners to our own little estate and we have to go right around town. We can't turn right, we can't go straight, we can't turn left. We have to go right around town, even down to close to the beach before we can do a full circle and come back up. It's beyond right now. Adding potentially hundreds of vehicle trips during early morning masses, evening prayers and weekend gatherings, services and weddings. My goodness me, weddings. You know how many hundreds of cars can come to a wedding? Imagine that church gets put on that corner. We're going to be bombarded. It will further strain our road network and increase the risk of accidents. Third, the parking provision is inadequate. The plans do not account for realistic parking demand during peak period times, such as religious services, including Easter, Christmas and the like. Overflow parking will undoubtedly spill onto residential streets, and as evidenced by current church site users at the Bexley, Monterey and Arncliffe chapters of this church in particular, it does cause frustration and conflict due to double parking, encroachment on driveways, parking on nature strips and walkways, and a blatant disregard to road laws. Residents will be displaced from their own curbs and driveways, and council parking enforcement will be stretched thin. Finally, there is the issue of residential amenity and property values. The scale and intensity of this development, along with associated traffic, noise and reduced accessibility, will likely have a negative impact on local house prices. Only recently, 2 weeks have gone past, a local real estate agent was heard saying residents are spooked by this proposal and they are trying to sell and get out. This fire sale significantly impacts home prices, which in many cases of our Moorfield Estate residents, this is their only major financial asset and it is critical to their economic survival. Prospective buyers are less inclined to invest in areas with persistent congestion, limited parking and high volume traffic generating premises. I'll wrap up, because I did hear the bell. Over 250 submissions, Mr. Chair and panel, opposing this development and 15 separate legislative-based reasons for refusal by Bayside Council cannot be wrong. Please formally refuse this application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. If you could just start the lecture and I'll see if there are any questions of the panel.
Certainly.
No, all pretty clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for submission.
Thank you kindly.
The meeting will now close and the panel will retire to deliberate and hand down its decision, which will be published on the council's website. I'm sorry.
Does Mr Greenhill have an opportunity to speak?
Yeah, we've registered.
Okay, sorry. So I have Mr Greenhill and Mr Mentis. They're here. They've made written submissions. Is there anything further to add to those submissions? You're quite welcome to address the panel
Please, yeah.
if you'd like.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Dimitri Mentis. I'm actually the next door neighbour to the development, so I'm affected most by all.
Right.
I've already made a submission where I've pointed out to regulations which are being broken, 2119 of the SCP, about safe and practicable access. I think there's, there are changes at Moorfield and Civic Avenue which are enacted right now and new ones which are coming in a matter of months. So I think that's forcing from the schools in Marshall Street and the aquatic centre there, any bus that comes down Marshall Street into the estate, they can't do a U-turn. They can't exit through Cross Lane, which is a one-way street coming into Marshall, and they can't go out to Mavara or any other way. They are now being forced by these new lights, which haven't been installed yet, but they're going to be forced into Moorfield Avenue to turn right if they need to go to West Botany or to go to President. And although there are alternatives to turn left, it's going to be through another residential street parallel to Moorfield. So those aren't apparent now, but they will happen. I just felt that's important in being able to, see whether the DA should go ahead. So I'm obviously against that. I think finally, just as a resident next door, which I didn't put in the submission, first of all, the DA is not visually in character with the street. It affects property prices and rentability, as someone has mentioned. It's unsightly. It's not appropriate for me or anyone to experience hearses and wedding vehicles outside my door. And the foot traffic and people that congregate there at peak times. Everyone understands that it's not appropriate for the street, and it adds to the traffic hazard that I previously mentioned. I think the other thing is, in terms of the EPA, I think physical, social and economic aspects. I've got solar panels, that electrical solar panels, and I've also got water solar panels, which I know there's a height covenant there, but it seems to me that they might be going above that. But they were concerned in the diagrams that you guys submitted that that there could be encroachment on, a sun blockage onto my panels, which I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the traffic fumes and the noise for people entering their basement car park, because that'll be adjoining my northern boundary and my property there. I'm concerned about the acid sulfate and other leachates, which are highlighted. They're highlighted in the report, but they haven't adequately been addressed. So any leachates going obviously down the hill then and next door to me and to the residential properties. So really just thank you for the opportunity to add to that. But I just, in summary, would like to say that I think we've demonstrated that safety and practicality under the designated road. It's SEP 2.119. I don't think they meet that today, and it's going to get worse. And also the adverse impacts, social, visual and economic character of the street, and especially to me as a person who lives next door. So that's my submission. Thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate you guys are working late at night. So, I do acknowledge that and thank you for it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mentis. Panel, are any questions, Mr. Mentis? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Greenhill, is there anything else you want to add to your written submission?
Just a couple of minor amendments, Mr. Chairman. I have a copy of what I would read out.
Yes, well, if you've got adequate copies, can you...
I've got 3 copies.
Yeah, that's fine. If we could just hand those up, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read it because you're online tonight, and I know there are residents of the Moorfield estate who will probably be, I know some certainly will be watching it, and I wouldn't be aware of what I've already submitted. Mr. Chairman and panel, with the benefit, I should have said over 60 years experience as a police officer, a police prosecutor and a practising barrister reaching the rank of senior counsel. It's my opinion that the intended church construction at the northern end of Moorfield Avenue, if permitted, will lead to a potentially hazardous bottleneck being created not only in its immediate precincts, but also in surrounding streets. With the proposed traffic lights at the northern end of the narrow one-way section of Moorfield Avenue, and bear in mind that it's called an avenue, but it's only barely wider than the width of 3 cars. It will be the only exit from the estate, enabling traffic to go directly ahead into West Botany Street, WBS, or turn right in President Avenue towards the east, towards the bay. No left turn will be permitted. While this will be an attractive, indeed necessary escape, I use the word escape advisedly in the light of what Dimitri's already said, escape route for resident motorists, it will also be the very route for council, garbage trucks and street sweepers heading to the tip in nearby West Botany Street, other large delivery trucks, such as from Coles, work vehicles, heavy work vehicles from the M6, which have plagued the estate for years, tradesmen's vehicles and school buses, to name a few. Young sports people, including some of my grandchildren, I live in Oakdale Avenue, 1 street away, and cyclists heading to the sporting facilities in West Botany Street will use this route, all of which will be competing with any arriving or departing church attendees' vehicles, as well as church rubbish, service and delivery trucks and funeral and wedding vehicles. And I ask you to remember that church services here are not restricted to Sundays. Pedestrian traffic will be high due to inadequate on-site parking, which will create a parking nightmare. The kids' playground park across the street will be illegally used, for sure. Traffic incidents and accidents will probably become common, potentially leading to road rage. I also mentioned that I specialised in crime while at the bar. I've seen a fair bit of road rage incidents in my life. I've also been a licensed driver for 67 years. I am in favour of the council officer's report and its recommendations, and I thank you for the opportunity to address the panel tonight.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for your submission. I'll now close the meeting so the panel can retire to deliberate and make its decision, and that decision will be published on the council's website. I do thank you for your attendance.